Indeed, God is great at ang blessing ng Panginoon para sa lahat ng gusto niyang i-bless. Nobody is special to deserve God's blessing, but when you get blessed, you become very special. God's attention is given to anyone, kaya napakahalaga na lagi tayong nakapwesto para yung mga blessing ng Panginoon ating tanggapin. Romans 9:15, the Lord told Moses that He has pity and mercy on anyone He wants to. Mahirap unawain ng hiwaga kung sino ang pinagpapala, paano pinagpapala, kaya napakahalaga na lagi na lang tayong conscious na ang pagpapala ay nanggagaling sa Diyos. Ang pag-aaral natin ngayon, pinamagatan natin, Blessings for Naaman. Isang mahalagang kwento na pwede natin kapulutan ng maraming aral. We ask you, Father, to be our speaker. Give us a simple message that will have very practical applications in our life. At ito mailapat namin sa aming buhay. We ask you, Father, to be our speaker. Use your servant only as your instrument. Bless your people. In the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord, our Savior, your Son, we pray. 2 Kings 5:1. Now Naaman was a commander of the army of the king of Aram. He was a great man in the sight of his master and highly regarded, because through him the Lord had given victory to Aram. He was a valiant soldier, but he had leprosy. So here Naaman that we see was a foreigner to Israel, an outsider. He was from Syria, but blessed by God. And immediately a lesson is very clear that God blesses anyone, anywhere. Hindi limitado ang blessing ng Diyos sa isang bansa, sa isang lahi, sa isang grupo. Ang blessing ng Panginoon ay pwedeng matanggap saan ka man naroon sa mundo, anumang lahi ang iyong kinabibilangan. But though blessed, Naaman had leprosy, at the time a very misunderstood kind of disease, and it was incurable. Parang napakalaking bigat sa buhay at talagang malaki nga na magkaroon ka ng ketong dahil noon ay wala itong gamot at hindi pa nauunawaan ng siyensya o ng medisina. 2 Kings 5:2-3. Now bands of raiders from Aram had gone out and had taken captive a young girl from Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "If only my master would see the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy." So itong si Naaman ay general in the army of his king, the king of Aram. At malinaw sa Biblia na binigyan siya ng Diyos ng maraming tagumpay. At dahil sa kanyang mga tagumpay, lalo namang gumanda ang pagtingin sa kanya ng hari, everything was going his way except that he had leprosy. Then one day, ang kanilang mga sundalo ay may mga nahuling bihag. Isa dito, isang dalagitang babae galing sa Israel na naging kasambahay ng asawa ni Aram. This little girl from Israel, this young lady, became a servant to the lady of the house. At sinabi niya, kung ito lamang pong si Sir Aram ay pupunta sa Israel, sa Samaria, magpapagamot sa propeta namin doon, gagaling siya sa kanyang ketong. What we can see here is that this was a very liberal household. Though this was the house of a great man, a slave girl's advice could also be given and heard. In fact, this slave girl's advice would become another blessing in Aram and also very specifically in the life of Naaman. Blessed na nga siya, may madadagdag pang blessing dahil dito sa nabihag na dalagita na nagpayo, sana pumunta na lang doon sa propeta namin para gumaling ang sakit ng kanyang amo. Makikita natin na pwede palang magsalita ang mga katulong sa bahay na yon, pwede magpayo kahit sa kanilang mga amo. So we can see that this type of people, Naaman and his wife, were very good people. Pwede magsalita kahit mga katulong nila sa bahay. 2 Kings 5:4-5. Naaman went to his master and told him what the girl from Israel had said. "By all means, go." The king of Aram replied, "I will send a letter to the king of Israel." So Naaman left, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 sets of clothing. So from the slave girl, the idea to go to the prophet in Israel went to Naaman, her master, and Naaman brought the idea to his master, the king himself. And the king said, "Why not? Go. Papadalang kita, papabaunan pa kita ng sulat para lalo kang pansinin," because at that time, this kingdom was stronger than Israel. So papansinin ng hari ng Israel yung sulat ng hari ng Aram, at nagdala pa itong si Naaman ng pagkarami-raming kayamanan, regalo sa propeta. So another blessing came to Naaman's life. First, the advice of the young lady, the maid in the house. Now, the king's permission and even a letter. And then he brought gifts. 2 Kings 5, 6-7. The letter that he took to the king of Israel read, "With this letter, I am sending my servant Naaman to you so that you may cure him of his leprosy." As soon as the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his robes and said, "Am I God? Can I kill and bring back to life? Why does this fellow send someone to me to be cured of his leprosy? See how he is trying to pick a quarrel with me." Either there was a miscommunication, the king of Aram thought that the king of Israel was the one who had the power to heal, or it was just a general letter asking the king to move whoever was in his kingdom that could heal Naaman. But the king of Israel became afraid. Sabi niya, "Diyos ba ako? Bakit itong hari na to sa kabilang kingdom nagpapadala sa akin ng ganitong uri ng request na pagalingin ko itong leprosy ng kanyang tauhan? Sigurado humahanap yan ng away. Na pag hindi ko napagaling, magkakaroon siya na excuse para tagirahin at mananalo sila dahil mas malakas sila sa atin kesa ngayon." So it was one king's expectation and request that sounded like a demand, and another king's concern and fear. Pag merong miscommunication, laging maraming fear. Kaya dapat nagkakalinawan, ano ba talaga ibig mong sabihin? Ito ba talagang iniisip ko ang iniisip mo? So ninervyos na alarm itong hari ng Israel. 2 Kings 5:8. When Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his robes, and to tear one's robe means to mourn, magluksa, malungkot ng sobra, he sent him this message. "Why have you torn your robes? Have the man come to me, and he will know that there is a prophet in Israel." Iba talaga magsalita yung mga God-anointed prophets. Walang pangingimi, kahit hari ang kausap. Sabi niya sa hari, bakit naman kinailangan pang magdrama ka? Bakit kailangan mo pang pilas-pilasin yung mga suot mo? Ba't di mo nalang ipadala sa akin nang malaman niyang hari ng Aram na may propeta ang Diyos sa Israel? Malinaw yung statement, hindi yung hari ang gagamitin ng Diyos, yung propeta ang gagamitin niya. Sabi ni, very indirectly, sabi ni Elisha, nagkamali siya, ba't siya sa hari pumunta? Dapat sa akin. So papuntahin mo na lang sa akin nang malaman nila na kumikilos ang Diyos sa Israel sa pamamagitan ng kanyang propeta. So if we're going to trace the idea, it came from the Lord, of course, but it was on human terms from the slave girl to Naaman, to the king of Aram, to the king of Israel, and now to the great prophet, Elisha. Ang layo ng narating ng idea. So, meron na namang isang blessing. Nakarating sa atensyon ng makapangyarihang propetang si Elisha ang problema ni Naaman, ang kanyang sakit na ketong. But we can learn something along the way. Do not inhibit a good idea, especially if it's godly, no matter who thought of it first. Kahit nakatulong, alipin, bihag ang nag-isip, if it's a good idea, it's a good idea, no matter who thought of it first. Hindi tayo ang may ideya, hindi tayo magkaka-credit, papatayin mo na yung idea. In fact, that idea came from God. We like to think that even the very reason why that girl was captured was to bring her to the household of Naaman to bless him. Like Joseph was a slave in the house of Potiphar to bless the entire empire of Egypt. God could talk to, and God could send and use anyone. Kahit mga taong mukhang mababa ang kalagayan sa lipunan, kung gagamitin ng Diyos, magiging napakamakapangyarihang daluyan ng kanyang pagpapala. 2 Kings 5:9. So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and stopped at the door of Elisha's house. Ang lakas ng dating ni Naaman. Nung dumating siya sa palasyo ng hari ng Israel, bagay yung kanyang retinue, ang kanyang mga wangwang, ang kanyang mga escort, ang mga kabayuhan. Pero nung pumunta siya sa bahay ng propeta, a very humble house, mukhang OA ang dating niya. Hindi bagay itrato ng mga political and military leaders ang mga servants of God that way. Ang lakas ng dating. So bibilhin ba ni Elisha ang drama nitong si Naaman na ang lakas ng dating? 2 Kings 5:10, Elisha sent a messenger to say to him, "Go, wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored, and you will be cleansed." Hindi hinarap ng propeta ang dumating na bisita. Hindi siya tuminag sa kanyang kinalalagyan, pinalabas niya ng bahay ang isa niyang katulong at sinabi dun sa dumating, "Alam na po kung anong pakay nyo, ang payo, pumunta kayo sa river ng Jordan at ilublob nyo ang inyong sarili 7 beses. Bilangin nyo, lublob, ahon, 7 beses. Gagaling ang inyong mga sakit na yan, kayo'y malilinis." Ikatutuwa kaya ni Naaman ang ganong payo. So in other words, dinedman ng prophet yung pomp and pageantry ni Naaman. The prophet was not amused. The prophet was not impressed with the show of force. After all, the show of force is empty. Because if he was really powerful, he would not be there seeking the ministration of the prophet. So dapat inilagay niya ang sarili niya sa tamang lugar. Spiritual people should not be too impressed with power or wealth. And this is one of the measures that you can see how spiritual people are. How they not get too impressed with wealth or power. Because they are tuned in to another dimension, to another power, to another vision, to another world view. 2 Kings 5:11. But Naaman went away angry and said, "I thought that he would surely come out to meet me, stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, wave his hand over the spot, and cure me of my leprosy." This was the way of the pagan priests. Ang inaasahan ni Naaman, isang magandang show. Sabi niya, yun lang. Di ba niya kilala ko sino ako? Ang lumabas lang dito sa akin katulong para sabihin lang maglublob ako sa ilog nila. Hindi man lang siya lumabas. Ang inaasahan ko, lalabas siya. Titindig siya ng buong tikas at buong lakas siyang tatawag sa kanyang Diyos. Wawagayway niya ang kanyang kamay and instantly gagaling ako. Yun ang mga drama kasi ng mga pagan priests na nakasanayan nitong si Naaman. Hindi niya alam yung understated style of really spiritual people. Hindi niya nagustuhan na hindi siya hinarap. 2 Kings 5:12, "Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed?" So he turned and went off in a rage. Sabi niya, Jordan, ilog ba ang tawag mo dyan sa kaprasong kanal na yan? At talaga naman, kung i-compare nyo ang Jordan sa mga ilog ng Damascus, para lang talagang maliit na kanal, puro pa putik. Alam nyo ba, pag tumungtong ka sa Jordan, aahon yung katakot-takot na putik. Aesthetically, hindi naman talaga siya big deal na ilog. Naging big deal lang, yun lang naman kasi isang ilog ng Israel. So sabi nitong si Naaman, hindi pa ba sapat ang magagandang ilog namin sa aming bayan? Na mas maganda pa kahit pag samasamahin mo lahat ng tubig sa Israel? Hindi ba kung pwedeng doon na lang maligo at malinis? Galit na galit siya, nagdadabog siyang tumalikod at umalis sa kanyang kabayuhan. It was a grand entourage, a pompous arrival and entry. It was a high, ceremonious expectation that he had in his heart, and a most unusual non-event treatment from the prophet. There was a raging disappointment and an exit. There was ranting of injured pride. Naturally, if you're used to attention, especially to earthly, worldly attention, you would want to expect that from everybody, but never expect it from spiritual people. Not that they are snobbish, it's just that they are not impressed because they are tuned in to other things that are spiritual. And perhaps that's the medicine that Naaman needed, a humbling. Dahil matagal na siyang hindi na-humble. And this is the way of some rich people today. The very rich, the very so-called educated and prominent churchgoers, they also want and demand such attention. This breed of people are still alive and well. Umalis siya, pinakinggan niya ang kanyang damdamin, ang kanyang dabog, pero umalis siyang may sakit pa rin, di pa rin siya gumaling. So umuwi siya sa kanyang bahay, inaasahan ng mga katulong niyang mananampalataya, nagaling na siya, pero nakita, ay may leprosy pa, walang nangyari. Sabi niya, anong nangyari? 2 Kings 5:13, Naaman's servants went to him and said, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then when he tells you, wash and be cleansed?" Again, these servants had the freedom to speak out. And it is to your credit if people under you can speak out. Especially if they can speak out for your well-being. Sabi niya, "Tatay, kung yung pong propeta may ipinagawa sa inyong mas mahirap, di ba para gumaling kayo, gagawin nyo? Kung ipinahuli sa inyong ibong Adarna, baka hulihin nyo talaga. Kung ipinasisid sa inyo ang dagat, kung ipinasakop sa inyo ang lahat ng mga kaharian dyan, gagawin nyo. Tapos maglublob lang sa ilog, di nyo pa sinunod. Gaano ba naman kahirap yon?" Naaman was too great to be blessed. No one can be too small to be blessed, but some people are too big to be blessed. At yun ang attitude ni Naaman. So here comes another common advice, another common sense from very common people that many people of high stature miss. Sabi niya, ba't di na lang yung sinunod? Madali namang gawin. Madali sa mapagpakumbaba. Pero hindi madali sa may yabang at angas sa buhay. Una, nainis na siya na hindi siya hinarap. Katulong lang humarap sa kanya, hindi niya opposite number. Pagkatapos, ang liit-liit ng ilog, parang ganun lang. Hindi ba ako magmumukhang nauto, mukha naman akong chip, nasusundin ko yan, yun lang. Hindi tuloy siya gumaling. Pero nung payuhan siya na kanyang mga katulong, pati nyo na lang gawin. Ito talaga, hanap naman kayo ng kagalingan. 2 Kings 5:14, so he went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, as the man of God had told him, and his flesh was restored and became clean like that of a young boy. So malinaw na Diyos ang nagpagaling. Not because of the river, not because of the grandness or beauty of the river. In fact, he was healed in spite of the river. Kung papagalingin tayo ng Panginoon, meron ba naman siyang papayagang umagaw ng kanyang kalwalhatian? Baka mapagkamalan mo pa yung magagandang bato, yung malinis na tubig, yung magandang lugar ang nagpagaling sa iyo at makalimutan mo ang Diyos. Kaya kinailangan isang simpleng lugar, isang napakasimpleng maliit na ilog para malaman mong hindi naman talaga yung ilog ang nagpapagaling. Humble deference to and obedience to wisdom yielded a great result. Healing at may bonus, youthful looks. Hindi lang siya gumaling, nagmukhang bata pa. Humility pala ang gamot. At kung humility ang gamot, alam nyo kung ano ang sakit. Sabihin nyo sa katabi nyo kung ano yung sakit. Pride, di ba? Ang sakit pala ni Naaman, pride. Kaya ang sagot ng prophet, dinedma siya. Kasi kung inestima mo yon, nagkandara pa ka, lalong yayabang. Hindi naman sa minaliit siya o minalang kwenta, pero ang kailangan niya, humbling eh. Yun ang gamot na kailangan niya. Kaya pala siya pinalulubog 7 beses, ba't hindi na lang 1 beses? Di ba kailangan humble ka para magpalubog-lutang ka doon? Kailangan may humility ka. Para kang batang sumunod na lang. But unless you had a childlike faith, you will never really receive much from God. As soon as he listened to the advice of his servants and did such a humbling thing as dipped 7 times in that muddy river, he got healed. It's the Lord, not the river, that healed him. So huwag kayong magpadala sa mga racket ng mga deboting tubig na galing sa Jordan. Mga deboteng langis na galing sa Holy Land. Anong holy doon? May holy bang land? Land cannot be holy because land is non-living and only the living are capable of righteousness or sinfulness. Walang holy land. Gimmick lang yan ng tourism. But if you like to visit for the historical value, good. Pero huwag kayong papauto na holy land. Magpe-pray ka sa Garden of Gethsemane. Sa garden nyo rin na puro makahiya at okra, nandun din ang Diyos. Hindi nyo kailangan pumunta doon para mag-pray. Pero kung gusto nyo makita, not bad. Pero kayong pauto sa mga holy land, holy oil, holy water. Walang ganun. Ang Diyos ang nagpapagaling. Kaya nga pagkarumi-rumit, maputik na tubig pa yung ginamit eh. 2 Kings 5:15. Then Naaman and all his attendants went back to the man of God. He stood before him and said, "Now I know that there is no God in all the world except in Israel. So please accept a gift from your servant." Mula sa bahay, nagpunta sa ilog ito, malayo yon ha. Naglubog-lubog siya doon at nung gumaling, hindi mo na umuwi, tumuloy sa bahay ng propeta minus the pomp and pageantry. This time, bumaba na siya sa kanyang kabayo, tumindig siya sa harap ng bahay ng propeta hanggang nilabas siya. May natutunan si Naaman. Dapat mong ilugar ang sarili mo before the man of God. Huwag kang magyabang dyan. Dahil hindi naman ikaw yung man of God, siya. At siya nga hindi mayabang eh. So humility, recognition, and gratitude ang nakita natin na isinunod na ginawa nitong si Naaman. A clear expression of thankfulness. He brought a lot of gifts. Kailangan, yung pagtingin sa ilog na to should not be a source of misplaced national pride. Hindi dahil sa Israel nangyari yon, hindi dahil sa ilog na yon, kundi dahil sa Diyos. Dahil alam nyo, nung panahon na yon, napakaraming may ketong sa Israel, walang pinagalingang Diyos ni isa. Sa katunayan, sabi sa 2 Kings 5:16, the prophet answered, "As surely as the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will not accept the thing." And even though Naaman urged him, he refused. Hindi tinanggap ng propeta ang mga regalo. It was a dignified and polite refusal befitting an anointed prophet. But you should take note that Elijah's refusal must have had a context. Siguro may dahilan na hindi natin alam, hindi na ipinaliwanag sa Biblia, may dahilan. Baka yumabang na naman tong Naaman pag tinanggapan mo ng regalo. Pag yumabang siya, baka bumalik yung ketong niya. Kasi yung pala ang gamot sa ketong niya, humility. Pagka na naman tinanggapan, baka lumaki ulo. Marami kasi nagre-regalo, pero pag tinanggap mo, para ka na niyang property dahil naregaluhan ka na. Pagka ganun, huwag mong tanggapan. Dahil may strings attached. Elijah's refusal is not to be considered to be an be-all template for all situations. There are gifts coming from grateful hearts and humble behavior that are good to be received. Pero dapat discerning ka. Kumisan yung gifts kasi binibili mo na yung tao. Nabigyan mo lang, tinanggapan ka lang, kala mo ka na kung sino mag-demand. Yun ang hindi dapat tinatanggapan ng gifts. So ayaw tanggapin ng propeta yung mga regalo. After all, hindi naman niya kailangan. Simple lang ang buhay niya. So hindi niya kailangan yung mga ginto na yon, yung mga damit na yon. Hindi naman siya maraming mga events sa kailangan niya yon. So hindi niya tinanggap. 2 Kings 5:17, if you will not, meaning if you will not receive these gifts, said Naaman, please let me, your servant, naku, siya na ngayon ang servant ng prophet, marunong nang siyang lumugar ngayon. Please let me, your servant, be given as much earth as a pair of mules can carry, for your servant will never again make burnt offerings and sacrifices to any other god but the Lord. Well-traveled itong si Naaman, exposed siya sa maraming religions, exposed siya sa maraming philosophies, pero ngayon lang siya gumaling from his leprosy. Mayroon siyang napatunayan. Sabi niya, kung hindi niyo tatanggapin ang regalo ko, ako ang may hihingin. Bigyan niyo ako ng lupa, kakalkaling ko mula dito sa lugar na ito, na kayang dalhin ng 2 buriko. Iuuwi ko sa aking tahanan, gagawa ako ng dambana, ng altar, at doon ako gagawa ng mga offerings. Hindi na ako gagawa ng offering kung kani-kaninong Diyos. Mag-o-offering ako sa Diyos na nagpagaling sa akin. So Naaman wanted to build a portable altar, a tangible piece of intangible spirituality. That's what he wanted to bring home. But remember, this is more symbolic than practical. If it's not the river that healed him, then it's not the soil that mattered either. Hindi yung tubig, hindi yung lupa, hindi yung oil, hindi yung merchandise. But because we are made of flesh, we want something tangible. So uwi-uwi niya souvenir from Israel, lupa, itutumpok niya, gagawin niyang dambana. What is important is faith in God who did all of these things, not in material things that became tools in God's work. At meron pang isa na inilapit itong si Naaman, 2 Kings 5:18, but may the Lord forgive your servant for this one thing. When my master enters the temple of Rimmon to bow down, and he is leaning on my arm, I have to bow there also. When I bow down the temple of Rimmon, may the Lord forgive your servant for this. Malinaw na malinaw dito kay Naaman na meron na siyang Diyos na sinasamba, ang Diyos ng Israel. Pero ganun siya ka-close sa hari. Sa niya yung hari namin, pagpapasok sa templo namin at lumuluhod siya doon sa templo, nakakapit siya sa braso ko dahil matanda na siya, siyempre luluhod din ako. Patawarin nawa ako ng Diyos na nagpagaling sa akin. Kung ito'y gawin ko, walang personalan, trabaho lang. So the believer knew that idolatry is out of place in his newfound faith in God. But he had duties. He had work. Trabaho lang. Humihingi siya ng space in his spirituality for his duty and work. Kung ngayon nagpaalam yan sa mga born-again leaders, hindi yan papayagan. Pero pinayagan kaya. 2 Kings 5:19, sabi ng propeta, go in peace. Elisha said. In other words, this Elisha had such a broad mind. He displayed understanding, tolerance, and even a blessing, which many people today should study and emulate. Hindi siya masyadong rabid, narrow-minded, verse-stoning teacher. Sabi niya, naintindihan ko, may tungkulin ka, sige, go in peace. Basta nasa puso mo ang tunay na Panginoon, may trabaho ka, edi gawin mo. God's blessing was received and enjoyed by Naaman and his king and his country, even before he had a very clear understanding of God. Ibig sabihin, God's blessing is not limited to Israel and the Israelites. It is not limited to certain persons or group of persons. Sa katunayan, kalaban nga ng Israel, yung Aram nung panahon na yon, ang binebless pa ng Diyos na manalo ay sila. At binless pa sila na makabihag ng mga bata at mga dalagita na siyang naging dahilan para mapayuhan si Naaman. Si Jesus, binanggit ang istoryang binasa natin. Thousands of years later, babanggitin ito ni Jesus sa Luke 4:25-28. Once during the time of Elijah, there was no rain for 3.5 years, and people everywhere were starving. There were many widows in Israel, but Elijah was sent only to a widow in the town of Zarephath near the city of Sidon. Sabi ni Jesus, nung panahon ng taggutom, napakaraming byuda sa Israel, walang kinupkop ang Diyos ni isa, pero may kinupkop siyang byuda, hindi Israelite, taga Zarephath. And verse 27, during the time of the prophet Elisha, yung binasa natin ngayon, many men in Israel had leprosy, but no one was healed except Naaman who lived in Syria. When the people in the meeting place heard Jesus say this, they became so angry. Israelites had always been used to thinking of themselves as special, as favored, and Jesus shattered that myth, that self-centered, ethnocentric myth. At marami pang beses uulit-ulitin niya ni Jesus. Sasabihin niya, I've never seen a faith like this in Israel, but the faith of this Syrophoenician woman is impressive. Sabi niya, I've never seen faith like the faith of this centurion. This I have never seen among Israelites. Ipinapakita ni Jesus na minamatyagan, tinitignan ng Diyos ang lahat ng tao sa buong mundo. At ang Diyos ay humahanga, si Jesus ay humahanga sa pananalig, kahit ang nananalig ay hindi Israelite. At itong si Naaman, sabi niya, sa dinami-rami ng may ketong noong panahon ni Elisha, sa bayan ng Israel, walang pinagaling ang Diyos. Isa lang, si Naaman, hindi pa Israelite. God blesses whom He likes to bless. Walang sino man na may exclusive franchise for blessing. Romans 9:15, the Lord told Moses that He has pity and mercy on anyone He wants to. Another lesson is that more blessings could await those who are already blessed, if only they were humble and obedient to godly counsel. Blessed na si Naaman, kaya lang may ketong. Ang spiritual cause pala nito, pride, kaya ang reseta, humility. And when he ate his humble pie, he got healed. God could give counsel through slave girls. Huwag nating mamalitin ang sinuman, maaaring gamitin ang sinuman ng Diyos na daluyan ng kanyang pagpapayo tungo sa ating buhay. Don't feel superior to anybody because anybody could be used by the Lord to speak to you. God could speak through donkeys, as we have seen in the Bible. God could provide food through unclean ravens, as God fed Elisha. And God could protect His servants through a prostitute in the story of Rahab. Nobody is beyond redemption. And nobody is so badly situated that God could not use her or him. Dapat nakabukas ang ating mata, ang ating tainga sa pagpapala ng Diyos kahit kanino padaanin. Huwag kang mamili. Huwag mo sasabihin, sino ba ang teacher sa Bible study class? Baka mas educated pa ako. Baka mas mayaman pa ako. Baka mas maganda pa yung bahay namin kaysa doon sa lugar ng Bible study na yan. Walang ganong-ganong yabang na dadaling ka pag lumalapit ka sa Diyos para gumaling ang iyong mga ketong at lahat ng tao may leprosy. Iba-iba lang. Yan napakahalagang suriin natin mga sarili. Baka blessed na tayo, kaya lang, yun yung kaya lang eh. May sabit, may kulang, o may sobra. At maaaring ang dahilan, tulad nitong kay Naaman, kailangan mo pala maglublob ka sa ilog mo, ano man yun. Baka merong taong kinawawa mo noon, dapat bumalik ka sa kanya at mag-sorry ka. Yun ang ilog na lulubluban mo. You're humbling of yourself para mawala ang iyong leprosy. Baka may pinagyabangan ka noon na kailangan ngayong bumawi ka, magpakumbaba. Baka meron ka napakataas na sinabi na kailangan mong bawiin. Ano man yun, mga kapatid, sayang ang pag-upo nyo dyan pag hindi natin inisip na there is a Naaman in all of us. And there is that leprosy in all of us. And there is that humbling act that we should do to receive God's healing and God's blessing. And another lesson from this beautiful story is that gratitude and expressive thanksgiving is a mark of godliness and civility. Kung ikay natulungan ni numan, kailangan magpasalamat ka at ipahayag mo ang iyong mga pasalamat sa anumang kaya mong paraan. Si Naaman, palibas at marami siyang material na kabuhayan, yan ang kaya niyang expression na ibigay. Pwede namang magbigay ka ng atensyon, ng serbisyo, tulong, ano man yon. Pero sa sino mang gumagawa ng mabuti sa atin, dapat tumatanaw tayo at marunong tayo magsukli ng kabutihan din. Huwag ka lang tanggap ng tanggap. Mga Kristiyano, pagka nagpunta sa psychiatrist, ang mahal-mahal ng bayad. Pag nagpa-counsel sa mga counselors, TY, kahit malang isang atis ng bulok, wala malang iabot. Papray ng papray kung kani-kanino, ginigising mo na madaling araw pag hindi ka makatulog, naliligalig ka. Kahit man lang isang choknat, hindi mo maabutan. Pero willing na willing ka magbayad sa mga mahal na hindi ka kakilala at wala namang malasakit sa iyo. A really grateful heart will always express it in ways that you can. And another lesson is that one's personal spirituality and profession and work could coexist. Marami nagtatanong, nagtatrabaho po ako sa ganitong lugar na sa tingin ng maraming Bible teachers, hindi dapat nagtatrabaho doon ang Christian. Yun lang po ang trabaho ko ngayon, nakilala ko po ang Panginoon, nagkaroon ng spirituality. Anong gagawin ko sa buhay? Anong ginawa dito ng propeta? Sabi niya, go in peace. Trabaho mo yan Ngayon, kung hindi ka at isa trabaho na ito dahil naliligalig ang iyong spirito, tiyakin mo lang na naliligalig dahil nga sa udyok ng Diyos at hindi dahil lang na-brainwash ka ng kung sinong religious person na pinapaniwala kang masama ngayon. Baka naman siya lang may ideya at hindi ang Diyos. Pero kung sakali nga, nalabag sa pagiging maka-Diyos, yung ginagawa mo, hindi maghanap ka ng iba, pero habang hindi ka pa nakakahanap, lalo't may pananagutan ka sa buhay, may mga pinapakain ka, sabi ng propeta, go in peace. Walang personalan, trabaho lang. Maluwag ang Diyos nami-mispackage lang siya and misrepresented ng mga mahihigpit na religious leaders. Pero kung ang Diyos talaga ang pupuntahan mo at yung mga propetang tunay, you will fall in love with God. Kasi ang bait-bait. Ang luwag-luwag kasama, hindi nakakasakal. Pag nakakasakal, hindi yun galing sa Diyos. Kasi hindi naman bumaba si Jesus sa lupa para kasakalin. Alam nga naman ang mission niya, manakal. So pag ang feeling mo, nasasakal ka, there's something wrong. Either with the teaching or with the interpretation. If you have conflicts in your mind about your profession and your spirituality, at least in and as a transition period, stay there until you find a better job. But to drop what you're doing and go hungry, hindi naman yun ang kalooban ng Diyos para sa iyo. At hindi mo kailangan gawin yun para patunayang maka-Diyos ka nga. We have to be liberated from these icons. Sometimes Bible-based Christians are so angry with idols, idolatry. Yung mga idols made of wood, of stone, of steel, of whatever. But Bible-based Christians also have many idols. And what are these? Theologies that misrepresent God. Theologies that do not present the true image of God, but shows only the interpretation of the religious. Idol din yun. Mas delikado yung idol na minimisrepresent mo ang Diyos. Na ang Diyos ay laging galit, laging nagpaparusa, puro bawal. It is a misrepresentation of God. Mature spirituality could and would understand other people's boundedness to duty and profession. Meron pa naging Kristiyano pero nasa military o police. So alam nga namang hindi ka na manghuli ng masama at hindi ka na mamaril kung nagbabarilan dahil Kristiyano ka. I-apply natin itong istorya sa tunay na buhay para magkaroon ng kahulugan sa atin. Sabi ng prophet, go in peace. Then settle it later. But for now, you are in a transition period, go in peace. Darating din yung kaayusan na yan na hinahanap mo. Mature spirituality could and would be tolerant of people's realities and even beliefs. You don't walk into people's lives and rearrange them the way your religion tells you to. You respect people and you let them process their spirituality in their time, at their pace, in their context. Naaman was a believer, though not fully aware of it. Maraming mga tao naniniwala sa Diyos, hindi lang nila alam na naniniwala pala sila, pero yung kilos, asal, gawa nila, nagsasabing mananampalataya sila. Kaya bine-bless ng Diyos si Naaman. May kulang lang yung inayos, the humbling part. But in all other aspects of his life, he was already blessed. Marami mga mananampalataya, hindi lang articulated ng theology sa kanilang pananalig nila sa Diyos. At kadalasan, makikita nyo sa Biblia, dinadala sila ng Diyos sa mga taong makakapagpaliwanag ng kanilang isip at makakapagpalalo, makakapag-fine-tune ng kanilang pananalig. Ginawa niya yan kay Cornelius, ginawa niya yan sa Roman centurion, at ginagawa ng Panginoon sa sino man na meron ng likas na pananalig sa Kanya, inilalapit niya lalo sa Kanya at gumagamit siya ng mga instrumento. What is your leprosy that could be healed by listening to a humble person's advice, that could be healed by humbling yourself and by dipping in your own Jordan River? Panginoong Diyos, turuan niyo po kami na ilapat ang kwento sa buhay namin dahil hindi naman dekorasyon ang kwento na ito. Ito'y tungkol din sa amin. Bigyan niyo kami ng spiritual eyes. Give us spiritual eyes to see who we are in this story so we can benefit from it. And we pray, O Lord, that as Naaman benefited from enlightenment, you will give us that enlightenment so we could do what should be done, correct our lives, and get more blessing from you and glorify you more in our lives. Pagbulay-bulayan natin ang kahulugan nito sa ating buhay at nawa ang ating kani-kanyang mga leprosies pagalingin ng Diyos sa ating pagsunod sa Kanya at pagsunod sa makadiyos na payo. Dear Lord, as your people humble ourselves before you, enlighten us so we could learn from this powerful story.